What's up, y'all? What's up? What's up? What's up? So the trailer dropped. The new trailer dropped for the well anticipated reboot of the classic hit show that we all grew up on, A Different World. They just dropped the trailer for the new Different World today. And people have mixed opinions about what they're seeing. It definitely has a different look about it. It doesn't have the old sitcom look. It's it looks like like a movie, like a mini series type vibe. But from looking at it though, and this is what I predicted when I did my last video. I'm gonna put the link at the bottom. Y'all see my last video when they released the pictures last month from the shoot, from the behind the scenes. I was talking about it, and I was saying that they should do is going to be focused on the young generation. It's not really going to be about Whitley and Dwayne and Ron Johnson. Like here you see them right there. I think they're just going to be introduced because I think they're just going to be there to introduce us to their daughter, and then their daughter going to introduce us to her friends and her experience. It's not going to be about see, you got Jada Pickett. It's not going to be about what was her name? Lillian. What was her name? Layla. Was it Layla? I forgot her name. Jada Pickett's character. It's not going to be about Leela. I think it was Leela. I think it was her name on the show. So September 24th is when they're going to release it, when the show is coming out. But like I said, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna watch it, of course, but I can tell this is more geared towards a young generation. I think I was reading some of the comments. I can, it's mixed feelings. I can, you know, uh, see some disappointments in the comments and stuff when they drop the trailer on YouTube. I can see some different, some disappointments. Some people were expecting a little bit more, but think about it though. Why would they have? Why would they have? See Ron Johnson. Why would they have Whitley and why would it be about Whitley and Dwayne and it's supposed to be about college? These folks been out of college 30 years. They graduate 30. People don't people don't linger around their college unless maybe it's like a game or something or maybe a reunion once a year. Now, if they would have did it that way, maybe, a different world with, Hillman class reunion, them coming back 30 years later for their 30-year reunion, you know, Jaleesa, seeing what they up to, maybe at the reunion. But, you know, if it was going to be about the college life in Hillman, it's going to be a younger generation, you know. But so I think people are a little bit disappointed in that. They feel like they're not going to see Whitley and Dwayne and and more of them. But yeah, like I said, this is more geared towards a younger generation. I was thinking, why did they even call it a reboot or a coming back to a different world? They should have just called it Hillman. Oh, we got a fly here. They should have just called it Hillman. Just call it Hillman. You know what I'm saying? That would have been better than just, that would have been the show. Just call it Hillman. Because then, if they would have just called it Hillman, we wouldn't have expected, you know, Whitley and Dwayne and all that. We would have just been like, okay, this is about the new generation of the class of 2026 at Hillman. You know what I'm saying? This is not going to be about Dwayne, and maybe they'll come in and give us a cameo, but you know what I'm saying? But this is not about Whitley and Dwayne and Ron Johnson and Jaleesa, and Kim. This is about the new generation. I think people were I think what the confusion is and disappointment is, people were are seeing the trailer and they're realizing that it's not going to be about Whitley and Dwayne. It's going to be them just coming in, maybe giving us like a cameo or introducing us to their daughter. And like I said, Ron and his son is going to be there. And then they're going to step out and it's going to be mostly about the young class. I think people are kind of disappointed about that. especially like the older people that's over the age of 35 that grew up with the old different world. You know what I mean? But hey, I'm still gonna watch it though. You know, I'm gonna give it the first 2 or 3 episodes. If it started to get boring or I feel like it's, you know, it's a generation behind me, then I may tune out. But hey, just because they're young, it may be good. Like I said, I'm gonna give it a shot because I was a fan of the first one. So, but yeah, people kind of pissed off though. They're like, oh man, it's not gonna be about the old class. Like, what did y'all expect? Like, it's going to be about the new generation of Hillman. Like I said, I think they should have just called it Hillman. No Different World reboot, no A Different World part two. They should have just been like Hillman, called it just straight Hillman. You know what I'm saying? And we would have known, okay, this is a kind of new different world, but it's not different world. So don't expect it for it to be different world. You know what I'm saying? And then we would have seen maybe it's cool that they got the dean. Her name Jennifer Lewis. She's playing the dean. Maybe she used to write the thing. I'm going to write you up, but she used to say something. She used to write on that thing. I forgot what she used to say, but yeah, that was my show, man. And then I think what it is, people have it's nostalgia. People want the old different world. It's not, and I think that's what it is. People be longing for it to be how it was when the show, you know what I'm saying? But it's not. I think what people are holding on to is the nostalgia of when that show was on. And so they want it to be the same, but it's not. It can't be the same because that was when it was. That's when it was. It was in the early to mid '90s. You know what I'm saying? And people hold on to those nostalgia because you remember I was in middle school and this show was out. I remember watching an episode of Different World and my boyfriend kissed me for the first time when I was in the 9th grade. You have these nostalgic attachments with the old one that you want that same feeling with the new one, but the new one can't be the old one because then the new won't be new. If that makes any sense, you know what I'm saying? So shit changes. You got to change. You got to be open to change. You got to be open to change, and I am open to see what this new different world is going to be. I'm curious to see how it's gonna play out. But what do you guys think, man? Are you going to be watching on the 24th when it comes out in September? Different Worlds. Less than a month. Over a month away. Month and a week away, I guess. What y'all think? Talk about it in the comments. Hit thumbs up button. See y'all later.